Hello, this wonderful evening. Welcome everyone to today's podcast. My name is Fred, aka Game Changer. I want to thank you all for coming by for this special occasion. Hello, this wonderful evening. Today we have a special panel, a very special panel. I do apologize about that. Joining us today to have this key topic about key roles of women in today's society. So I want you all to sit back, relax, enjoy this podcast. If you have any questions or concerns or any comments, please let us know at this time. I see some daughter's coming up to help. Once again, if you have any questions or comments at this time, please let us know. At this moment, though, we would like to go ahead and introduce our panel. The lady at the top right of your screen is Lynn. She is our wonderful, wonderful realtor. She helped us get our new home. She's a very special person to us. She's considered family and a great friend. So, Lynn, if you want to take this time to introduce yourself and give them a
Okay.
little bit of your background, greatly be appreciated.
Okay. Well, thank you, Fred. Fred and Ann were actually my first clients, and I really appreciate the fact that they, took a chance on me. I had just started in real estate. I've been in marketing communications with a healthcare company for over 10 years, but I've been in marketing communications for over 20 years. That's been most of my career. And so I just really enjoy meeting people. I work in the Medicaid industry, and I just really enjoy helping people with the things that they need. A lot of people, are first-time home buyers, and they've never been through the process before. And I've built two homes of my own, and so it's really exciting for me to be able to not only just find someone a home, but be able to kind of, share my knowledge with them about, some of the things I've learned. And I'm learning a lot along the way. Every single case, every single client that I encounter is different. And so it provides a different challenge for me. A lot of people think that real estate is easy, but there's a lot to learn. You make mistakes and you learn every single time what to do for the next time, but every case is going to be different. And so that's what's exciting about it, is it's not just, coming to the office and doing the same thing every day. So I've really enjoyed that.
That's great. That's great. That's great. We have another last minute guest, and we are so thankful that she decided to join us at the last minute. Ms. Brenner, would you take this moment to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me here this evening. So I'm super excited about it. I am a wife and mother of five. I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, the last 20 years or so. Just recently come back into the career field over the last few years, about 4 or 5 years now, and I work in the church. The church arena. I assist ministers and churches, and so that's what I get to do. I'm an ordained minister and currently studying for my pastoral ministries degree. And Lynn, I just have to commend you. Real estate is tough. And to be able to look at, I love your perspective of being able to help people. So I love that part about it, and the learning part. We're in the same boat, learning every day. I work with people all the time, and so it's definitely a learning thing for us, learning and growing constantly.
Yes. Did we lose Fred?
We might have.
Uh-oh. Fola, can you hear? Fola?
Let's see. Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. I was going to have her jump on in.
All right, Ms. Fuller, if you want to take the time to go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I in the beginning, I didn't hear what you're saying. So did you already introduce me? You just wanted me to add some little thing?
Yes, absolutely. If there's anything else you want to add.
No, I think that's basically what it is.
Okay. Well, once again, we're both members of EMIC, Eagle Mountain Church. She's a great friend to my wife, and we definitely enjoy and thank you for joining this podcast with us today. So we're going to jump right into it. Once again, if you have not taken a second to please like this video, like this podcast, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on notifications because this will be done every week. Next week will be an interesting podcast as well, where the same guests from both this week and previous week will come back to join a very interesting topic. Well, we hope everything will line up where everyone could come back. Let me rephrase that, put my foot in my mouth. So today's topic is, once again, key roles for women in today's society. So we want to start off with the first question that we have, which is, what does it mean to be a woman in today's society? Let's see. Lynn, why don't you go ahead and start us off with this one?
Okay. I think that it's really hard to define because we all have such varied, backgrounds and roles. And so if you're a career professional, you've got your professional career, you've got your role as a mother, you've got your role as a wife or a girlfriend or a neighbor, not just, even if you're a single woman, the people that you live around, they take, a huge part of your life and taking care of your neighbors, et cetera. As we kind of learned during the storm a few weeks ago, just kind of coming together, but just really, we're always expected to just sort of get things done, despite how we feel, despite, sometimes we feel sad, sometimes we feel lonely, sometimes we feel anxious, but we still have to fulfill that role. You still have to show up to work every day. You still have to parent every day. You still have to keep moving forward. And you still, even on the days where you feel like you just don't want to get up and you just don't want to do anything, we still have to encourage our children and encourage them to be positive and give them hope and feel hopeful, even through the things that you go through. And so it's really just kind of juggling, kind of what's in your head and what's in your heart and what you have to do every day to, fulfill your obligations. So that's just balance is really, I guess, what it means to be a woman in society.
All right. So Brenda, you want to go ahead and jump in on that same question?
Sure, absolutely. I agree as well with Lynn, exactly what she said. There's a whole lot of balancing that as women we do in marketplace, motherhood and marriage. And so a lot of balancing that is going on. But one of the things that I know, one of the key things that I believe about being a woman in society is understanding that we have influence. And influence doesn't always mean we've got some great platform. Influence means could just mean my 5 kids. It could mean my husband. It could be my coworkers, anyone that I come in contact with. Being a woman in society is understanding that wherever we step foot, we carry influence with us, and that could be negative, that could be positive. And I agree with Lynn about the part where she said, balancing the things in our minds, things that are in our hearts, learning each day about being a better person than we were the day before, and learning from mistakes and helping people along the way. Being a woman in society means if you're the person that's going to go first, you're going to take the biggest blows, but the people coming behind you aren't going to have to. And I believe that's what it means to be a woman in society today. Just knowing how to be balanced, which is what Lynn said, and understanding that we carry influence everywhere that we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Ms. Fowler, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on what she just said on influence. I believe that we are the strength of our society. We have a very important role in influencing the seven mountain of global society, which is a family, religion, government, education, economy, media, and entertainment. So everywhere you go, you look at, we are there. I grew up with this proverbial saying that says, the hand that rock the cradle rules the world. So like she was just saying, I'm a mom. I'm impacting and influencing the life of my children. That is the generation to come, the future. So I'm a strong woman. I'm influencing them. I'm, impacting what I know, growing, and also growing them and forming their future and encouraging them to be the leader. So we are strong. I believe that we are the strength, we are the pillar of this society.
That's good. That's good. So one of the questions so far from the stream is asked, and what I'm gonna do differently, I'm gonna just try to interact with the questions that we already have and mix it up with the questions that audience are asking as well. So hopefully it does not confuse or throw a curveball at anyone. But to refer to what you just said, Fola, and what you just said, Brenda and Lynn, it says, how do we make that change to get others to help? When you talk about the impact of the economy, the impact of change, and the roles of women, how do we get other women involved to make others help out?
Brenda,
Either one.
I don't want to jump in and interrupt anyone. So.
No, go ahead, Brenda, and then I'll.
I think going back to what I said, every one of us here on this panel and everyone watching has a circle. And I think it means being present in that circle with the people that are around you. But it also means being present when I'm at the grocery store and I'm looking at the cashier and I'm acknowledging that she's a person and she's here and she's present. So sometimes there's intentionality, even in conversation with strangers, but a lot of this is being present and then intentionality and just making space to have a conversation about someone else, with someone else about what's your life dream? What is a goal? What are, anything like that is just a great beginning of a conversation. And sometimes people have never been asked that question before. Right. And before you know it, if you actually listen, and that's something we as a society sometimes aren't so great at, we're so quick, but sitting and listening to people and giving them space to express, I think right there is a beginning step to be able to say, okay, so then how are you going to get yourself there? What are ways things that you're trying? What are you doing to grow yourself? And maybe no one's ever asked somebody that question. Mm-hmm. And so one of my favorite things to do is helping people find what their purpose is and what they're here to do. And I think each one of us probably does that within our circles. So I say listening, being intentional, and being present in the circles that you find yourself in.
That's good.
And I really like what you had to say, because it just kind of really, my kids, played sports since they were little, and my, whole, the youth of them has always been wrapped up in going to the games and being the team mom and, doing all that, having kids spend the night, on the weekends where, that's the only way they're going to get to the game because their parents don't show up. And, having 10 boys spend the night at one time, but actually having those conversations with them. I have one child that, started playing with us when he was 12 years old. And that is one of the biggest things that my mother was a teacher. She's a retired teacher. And, in the family that I grew up in, I was very fortunate that we were never asked if we were going to college or what we were going to do. We were asked the questions. What are your plans? What are you going to do? What's your contingency plan if this doesn't work out? And teaching our children how to not just plan for the future, but also plan for pitfalls, because that is guaranteed. It is absolutely guaranteed that you're going to get derailed at some part of your life. And like you said, even at the grocery store, acknowledging people, making sure that they know that their presence is important. It's contributing to you. I'm really bad about, if I see a child misbehaving in the store or something, I cannot just let it go, and I'm not approaching in a mean way, but I'm like, hey, why don't you help your mommy out? Or why don't you, just trying to make a positive suggestion to change that behavior. If I see crocodile tears, it's like, why don't you save that attitude for when you have real tears or when you're really, really sad? Because, and it's just kind of, interacting with people, and especially with children, redirecting behavior in a positive way. And so that's one of the things that
that's good.
think is important.
Yeah.
Ms. Fuller, did you add anything to that?
Yeah. I wanted to say, just being an example, dare to be a Daniel, be different, and also growing yourself. I know my weakness. I know where I have those rough edges, which in a way is not going to help the other women. So, continuously growing and be intentional, like Brenda said.
That's good. We have questions that are coming in left and right. So before we go to the next one, I want to thank everyone that is watching right now. If you happen to be watching this on a restream, please feel free to leave comments or any kind of questions that you may have, and we will always try to respond to those comments or questions. So I thank everyone that are watching at this moment. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share this video with family and friends. So we're not trying to just make change in our own family. We're trying to make change across the world. And in order to do that, we need everyone help and everybody's support. So I want to thank you all that are taking your time to come by and spend time with us on this channel. I really do appreciate it. So one of the other questions that are popping up, ladies, let's get to it, is this question right here. Isn't it true that women have the power to institute change using clubs, organizations, and with their individual involvements with people and children? Lynn, would you like to go ahead and start off with that one first?
Sure. Absolutely. I think that, you have to be involved in your community. You have to, as was said before, lead by example. Fulla said that, Brenda said that. You have to be, it's easy to tell people this is what you should do, but if you're not using your energy and bringing people along with you, right, then you're not selling it. Why should they participate if you're not there participating with them? When it's time to get up and go and volunteer, or when it's time to get up and, help coach kids, or, be a chaperone at a field trip or whatever, participating with the school PTA or participating with whatever organizations at work. Because if you don't speak, then you can't be heard, and people don't know what's important to you. So just really speaking up, and it's difficult, especially I think for little girls as we grow up. When we're younger, we just want to please, we just want to be cooperative. We don't want to cause a problem. We kind of keep ourselves in the background. And then as we get older, and I think we become not less cooperative, but less docile, because we realize that when you don't speak your mind, then you get run over, and whether that men, women, otherwise. So really just, I know this is kind of off the topic, but setting boundaries as a woman, setting boundaries with your children, setting boundaries with your boss, setting boundaries with your husband, setting boundaries with your neighbors, I think makes for a happier situation.
That's good. That's good. Go ahead and jump in. Whoever want to add to that.
Yes, I want to say, while it's true that we change the world, using clubs, organization, and all that, we also need to realize that we don't have to do it all. And it's okay if by my personality, I'm the type that is all over the place, and this other lady is not like that. That doesn't mean she's not changing the world. You know what I mean? We don't make us. I don't make myself a standard for Len or Brenda.
Right.
And you don't. How do I say this? You don't compare yourself to. Period. Bible says those that compare themselves with themselves are foolish.
Right.
So, but be true to yourself. Know when you are being lazy or you are not being responsible. Know the difference. And know when you are afraid and you need to be courageous and step out. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah,
that is
I
a
like
good
that,
segue. Right. That is
good.
a good segue into the next question. Brenda, before we go there, but Brenda, did you want to add anything real quick to that?
I just really thought it was a short and simple yes to that question.
Right. So that was a great segue into the next question that we have, which is, in your daily life, what roles do you have as women? Since we're talking about the change and the impact, I believe that is perfect for this question right here. So, Ms. Fowler, would you like to start off with that question?
Yeah, I'm a wife, so I compliment my husband, in a duty of raising our family. How do I say this? I was thinking of another word, but now I lost it.
Uh-oh.
I'm a mom, so I have all this hats I have to put on, like Len was saying, like be a chaperone sometime, do fundraising another time, all that kind of stuff. And I'm an educator. I teach in my church. I also substitute, even though substitution is not really, depending on the position you take. If it's not a long term, you are not really teaching, but you also have opportunity to influence the kids around you. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm a good neighbor. You can give a smile, encourage someone. During the winter blast, we help each other out.
Right. That's good. That's good.
And I'm also a good friend. I'm here today because I'm friendly with Anne, and she can think of me.
Right. So. Absolutely. That's great. Brenda, would you like to go ahead and add to that question?
Sure. Like Fola, I'm also a wife, and so my husband and I have been married for 15 years. He is an oil field worker, so a lot of times he spends time away from home. But when he is home, then he, it's just a good time when he's home. He gets to be that partner. We partner together with raising our family, and so So I'm a wife, and when he's home, I'm blessed because of him, because of the hard work that he does, helps provide, right, and take care of our family. And so my job is to make sure that he understands and knows what a value he is to our family. I'm a mother, yes, to 5 kids, crazy, and ages 25 down to 12. And so my 3 oldest are no longer here, but I still parent them. And we might talk about that in a little while, but my 25, 23, and 22 still get parented. They get supported by their mama, because no one else is watching out for them but this mama right here. And so I still parent them, and I have 2 others, a 14 and a 12 at home. So I'm a mother. That's all full time. And then I work with ministers in churches. I'm the director of a school of ministry, and so I have the opportunity to lead about 80 students every month. And one of the greatest joys of that is walking with people as they discover their God calling. As you watch them catch it, you watch them realize what they're here for, what their purpose is for. And so I get the opportunity to influence students' lives that way. And I like what Fola said about being a good neighbor. And being a good neighbor has so many things to it. You know, I can be a my for and no more person, but that doesn't do anything to change our society. It doesn't do anything to influence in a positive way. And I think it's important that we're always looking outward too. And so being a good neighbor, being a good teacher's helper, whatever the school needs, all of those different roles. And I love how you said the different hats that you wear. And I think sometimes early in the morning when I'm raising kids, I have a military hat on because I'm trying to get them out of bed, and you just change the hats throughout the day. You're an encourager, you're all of these different things. And so, Fola, I agree. We play so many different roles in a day.
Right. Lynn, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. So I'm the mother of 2 boys. So my oldest son is 19 and my youngest will be 17 in a couple of months. And so really, I've never been a teenage boy before. So, sort of navigating that minefield of emotions and boy problems, and girls and, this and that. And really just, I've always told them, it's my job to raise you to become a decent contributor to society and to be a good man and a good, hopefully a good husband and a good father, one day. And we, one of the things that I really love about my kids is that, from the time they were little, we've had very clear adult type conversations to where sometimes I don't want to hear what they have to tell me just because you're just cringing inside. But it's my job to provide direction for them, even when it's something that I'm not ready to face. And so another part of that is because my kids are the ages that they are. My son went off to college this year, which was a huge transition for me because from the time I knew I was pregnant, that has been my primary focus in my life. Despite my job, despite, anything else that's been going on, they have been my tunnel vision. And so now, I cried for weeks. I could hardly function because the energy in my house had changed. And so now learning how to be an individual again and learning how to be a woman again. I just told my 16-year-old the other day because he was going through some stuff. And I was just like, I know it seems like everything we talk about is a lesson, but it's because I want we have very similar personalities, and I want him to avoid the regrets and the, not feeling confident or, those kinds of things. I want him to really think about long-term, how he interacts with people. And I told him, I said, I haven't always just been this mom. I was a teenage girl once, and I was, in college, and I had a great time, and I had no responsibilities, and I had a whole future ahead of me. So it's not like, it's not like I haven't, yes, the problems are different, but the feelings and the general angst of change is the same, even now.
That's good. So. That's good. So there was another question that was asked in the comments, and I actually would like to answer this question. So the question was, what are the hard conversations you have to be a game changer? And wow. It's funny. That question, it resonates with me because it reminds me back to the reason why I started this channel and what I felt like was a purpose that my father gave to me. And the whole purpose of the channel, the whole purpose of being a game changer is to impact one life at a time. And I named it Game Changers because I wanted to do something that was different. I wanted to do something that was out of the box. I wanted to be able to reach the youth, the elderly, the young, the old, the white, the black, the male, female. I wanted to reach out to people, and I wanted to create something something where you could come and not be judged, not be criticized for having an open opinion or having a conversation. And being a game changer to me is having those uncomfortable conversations when you really don't want to have it. That's when, to me, you're making a difference to someone, where you want to be truthful, but at the same time, you want to approach every conversation with love, out of love, and make sure that that person you're having a conversation with or the topic that you're having that conversation about is approached first and foremost out of love. No judgment, no criticism. So when me and my wife sat down and we were trying to think of the name of the channel, and I play video games, I enjoy video games, but I also enjoy spending time in the Word. I dedicate every morning, every night, spending time in the Word. And I saw how much it impacted me. So it was only fair for me to be able to, if I affect one person's life a day or one person's life a week, that's making a difference to me. And it's game changing because that's one person that you haven't reached before. So that's why I believe having those hard conversations, the uncomfortable conversation is what's actually game changing, because it's simple to go out and just say something that somebody's expecting you to say, or saying the things that they're expecting you to or expecting to hear. But when you say something that completely gives them a different point of view of how they once was looking at it or how they once was feeling about it, then to me, you're making you're changing life. And it was something Doc said, and don't quote me on this, but on the last podcast, he said, "Hey, I really enjoy being a part of Game Changers because now we're changing lives one game at a time or one step at a time." And that was so true, because that's my mission. So today's podcast, I hope one woman, one teenage girl gets something out of this podcast that'll affect her for the rest of her life. That's why I created this channel. That's why I created this podcast. And that's what I'm hoping to get out of this, changing one life at a time.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the question says, what are the hard conversations you have to be a game changer?
Mm-hmm.
I think those conversations should first be the conversation that you have with yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
And you have with God. I'm assuming, I don't know if everybody listening have a relationship with God, but for you to be able to change a game, you need to have a true picture of the game.
Exactly.
Not the way you see or you want it to be played, or you assume it should be played.
That's good.
Exactly.
And because if you are not a bird, right? A bird have a bird view.
Right.
God is the one that has the bird view.
Right.
And when you spend time with him, he gives you the bird view.
Right.
And, you just have, I mean, I've played sport before. You have a role and it gives you your role. It teaches you how to do that role, which is a
Right.
continuous thing. You know, even the best players in the world, they keep practicing, they keep, you know, they make mistakes and they improve upon themselves. So it starts from you growing.
Exactly. Exactly. Anybody else want to add anything to that question?
I agree with exactly what Fola just said. That would have been exactly what I would have said, was that first hard conversation has to be with yourself, and looking at yourself, um, and asking you the questions are, you know, what are things about me that need to change? What are things that I have brought into my current life, or things that I've just brought with me, luggage, so to speak, that I've brought with me from over the years? You know, even the way I was raised, culture is how you were raised, you know, your surroundings, you know, and so what are the things even from my past, my childhood, that maybe have my views skewed a certain way because of the way I might have been raised, so because of that culture. And so asking hard questions like, okay, Brenda, so you know, you're not perfect, you know, God, show me, you know, just like Fola said, you know, ask for that, show me where I can be a better, you know, a better follower. Show me how to be a better wife, because I'm not perfect. You know, show me how I can be a better mother, and how can I be a better friend, how can I be a better employee? So those are hard questions to ask in order to create that change within ourselves. Secondly, when I thought about that question, I also thought about the fact that if I'm having a hard conversation with someone else, then it can only really be with someone that I have a relationship with. You know, I can't necessarily not spout off, but you know, I can't necessarily have a hard conversation per se with a stranger. Now, someone might take it, and it might just be in that moment. It might just be the perfect timing for it. But I believe sometimes when we're really going to have a hard conversation with someone, they'll receive it better when they know that you love them. They'll receive it better when you know that your intent is motivated by love and the betterment of who they are. And so, you know, those are conversations. You know, I like how Lynn said that, those adult conversations with your children. That we have those kinds of conversations. And what are you thinking? You know, what is your, you have an opportunity right now, change that attitude, you know, all these different kinds of things. But I think having those hard conversations with other people begins with having a relationship with them. And like I said, I think you can have conversations with strangers. But that is just my thoughts on that.
Right. Lynn, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Or
Yeah, just something brief in that, you know, I've been very fortunate that, you know, my parents are here, and, you know, my children know my parents, and, you know, some of the things, you know, as Brenda was saying, you know, some of the things that influence you, in who you are in the present is your past. And so some of the things that, you know, have happened to you as a child, or experiences that you've had, and having conversations with your family, your parents, you know, about some of the things that maybe influenced you, maybe in a negative way or even in a positive way, and being able to have those conversations of explanation, and, you know, talking about how it made you feel. And I'm fortunate that my parents are very, you know, I have two sets of parents, you know, but we come together for special events and Christmas, and, you know, you know, all the feelings of what's happening to you in your individual life can be put to the side, because
Mhm.
we're a family and we all love each other. And
Right.
so I think that changing the game means, you know, not holding grudges and just moving forward and being the best person that you can be, not just for your own benefit, but for the people that are around you.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So once again, I want to thank everyone that's took the time out to watch the podcast. We really appreciate you all stopping by. The questions that you are asking are very good questions. Please take this time to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more information. Feel free to also leave any comments or questions that you may have. We once again, we thank you all for spending time with us. We do have some more questions in the stream. Let's see. I'm trying to decide which direction I want to go with this. So I want to go ahead and answer this question. It's a little off topic and it's a little surprising, but we're going to go ahead and do this. I wanted to actually save that question for next week's podcast, and I think we'll just go ahead and get a little tidbit taste of what next week's podcast will be about. So the question that is asked is, especially, what is your definition of what a good wife is? And what advice would you give to women that are not married but desire to be? I'm going to hide my face on this one. I'm going to let y'all take
That's a hot topic.
I'm going to let y'all handle that one. Whichever one of y'all want to go first, go right ahead.
I think I will go first. So the definition of a good wife, you can only get it from the Word of God. I'm sorry, if you're not a Christian, you need to find that out. And a good wife, I don't want to say that there is no there's no standard, because we are all different. You are married to a different man. We are all now married to the same kind of man, right? Each family is unique. So maybe a definition of a good wife for one home is a wife that knows how to cook, but another husband might not care about food. You see what I'm saying? So really, God knows the man you are married to, and God knows who you are, right? So it comes from you developing a relationship with God first, and from there you can receive the grace and the strength to be that good wife. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever one of y'all want to go next.
Let me tackle this one, because I get the opportunity. Let me tackle the one about a woman desiring to be a wife who's not married just yet. I get the opportunity sometimes to be around young women that are single, and I always talk to them in such a way that just really says to them that they are complete right now. And so I hope I'm not stirring anything by saying that that being married doesn't make you a complete person, that you are a complete person as God created you right now. And that and to not hold off on things, meaning because and I've said this a couple times, I work in a church circle, so well, I want to pursue this, but I want to wait, but I want to pursue this, but I want to wait, till God sends me a husband. And my question is, if this is something that God's given you to pursue and do and walk in, do that now. Perhaps while you're walking this right now and doing what God's called you to do, your husband may be on the other side of that, and you're waiting, and God's waiting on you to step and keep going and doing what he's asked you to do and called you to do. And your spouse could be on the other side of that. But in that waiting time, spending that time with God, spending that time nurturing that relationship between you and the Father, and understanding just who you are, understanding the love that he has for you, and that he can keep you until that day that he brings your spouse into your life. And so the waiting is tough and hard, and I understand that for some people. The waiting can be incredibly tough and hard. Surround yourself with other sisters. Surround yourself with good men so that you know what to look for, those good godly qualities. And, watch other married couples. Don't just hang out with your single friends. Hang out with some good godly married couples so that you could get a picture of some things and learn like that too. So, that's probably my short advice for single women.
I think one of the things that I'm not sure if it addresses being a good wife directly, but when girls graduate and I'm writing their card, one of the things that I always tell them is to take time to figure out what's important to them for themselves. I love education. I've been to school and I kept going back and getting degrees just because that's what my passion has always been. And like Brenda said, not putting your life on hold just because you're waiting on somebody to come in your life, not needing to be with somebody just because that's what society, that's the next box to check. Because that's what society believes that should be the next thing to do. Because you can't be single or married, you can't be your 100% self if you don't figure out what it is that you want for yourself. And I feel like, there are some women, like you said, Brenda, you were, stay-at-home mom. And Fola, you do substituting, part-time, and I did substitute teaching too. And, things happen in life where, like I said, you get derailed. But really just, like you said, you ask kids, you ask other people, what are your goals? What are your, what direction do you want to go in life? And I think that that's primary, is knowing what direction you as an individual woman want to go in. Before you can be of any good to anyone else.
Yeah, I also want to add this. I was thinking about it, and I want you to hear me out, because before you put a judgment, I'm married, so hear it from that part. Being married is not the end of the world. I just wanted to put that one there. You came into this world to enjoy life. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for that right person, live life, enjoy life, discover who you are. I have always known what I want to do. But when I got married, I held off on some things. I stayed home with my kids, for like about 15 years, but I still have my dream. And we didn't decide that because actually I wanted to. That was what God put in my heart. But I trusted him that at the right time, I am going to step into that future. And I still believe in that future. And what Brenda was saying in the beginning, when I first got married, I thought, okay, I'm married now. I'm going to do everything with my husband. Okay, let's go pray. Let's do this. I'm doing business. Can we run this business together? That's not the kind of person he is. So in the first few years, I was frustrated. But, like I told you, going back to God, I figured out that we are wired differently.
Right.
But, if I didn't know who I am at that point, that's the end. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I assume this is how marriage is, and it's not working out for me that way. So I would think it's never going to work. So it still comes back to discovering who you are, what you want, your future, which is in God. So it will still go back to you having a relationship with God.
All right.
You know, the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and every other thing shall be added unto you. You know, I met my husband in college, just enjoying being a Christian, you know, and enjoying my life, going to fellowship, talking to boys and telling them about Jesus. I told him about Jesus, and today he's my husband. I didn't think that.
Now he might be listening now.
Yeah, he actually told me and told people that he never wanted to do anything with me because I'm always in the voice of boys and telling them, give your life to Christ. It was like, that girl, I'm never going to talk to her. But yeah, I actually went and knocked on his door and told him about Jesus. He was very upset, but I didn't know today I'll be married to him. So enjoy your life, you know, live your life. Like what Brenda is saying, maybe on the underside of that thing is your husband waiting.
Right. I just realized we are almost going on an hour on this podcast, and it seemed like we barely got to question number 3. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into question number 4. Do you believe men and women are treated equally? Another question you can say is, should men and women be treated equally? So who wants to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I'll go first. Of course, we know the answer is no. But what I also want to say is that it's much better than it used to be. So we should just be hopeful, and let's not allow that to limit us in any way. We have the power, you know, to forge ahead in life. It's better now. I mean, I was going to give the example. My daughter was telling me that just recently, maybe about last year, in Saudi Arabia, they gave the women the permission to be able to drive. This is 2021. But anyway, just like I'm saying, is that, you know, it's much better than when I was 2 years old, 3 years old, you know, 14 years old, 20, 30, you know, and right now, you know. So I just want to encourage everybody out there, don't let that set a limit over your life. I mean, we have example of great women in politics that have changed the world. People have been prime minister. People have taken a very high role, even presently, that never ever happened before. I also know that there's a question about men being paid more than women, but then we know women too that are being paid more than men in some fields, maybe in all fields. So we are hopeful there's a better future.
That's good. Whoever want to take it next.
I guess I'll jump in. So just as Wala said, no, we're not treated equally. But one of the things that I think is important is that we as women serve as champions for each other also, because another problem is not just men together, you know, I guess really being comfortable with other men, whether it be in the workplace or, you know, wherever, but also women not elevating men and being able to trust what another woman says. Just because a man says it and a woman says the same thing, something similar, not to elevate the other sex because they're more revered or, sought after as far as leadership or whatever is concerned. So really, I think that, especially in the workplace, other women, not necessarily just to promote them just because they're women, but just championing them and guiding each other and believing in each other and trusting our work. And if those other women, I always say when I have somebody working for me, it's my job to grow them out of their job. I want them to succeed so much that they go on to do bigger things. And I have no ill feelings if I have an employee that decides that they want to leave, as long as I've done my job in helping them grow. That's the point. And yes, I'll miss them, but I want, we all want the same basic things. We all want to be happy. We all want to be paid well. We all want to feel fulfilled in what we're doing. And we all want to learn and we all want to grow. And so just supporting each other in that and just being kind to each other, I think is just really important and puts us on an equal playing field.
Yeah, I agree. Both ladies, I agree what they said. I think it's an obvious answer to the question, but for me, I don't want to be someone that's so bogged down with that. I don't wake up in the morning and the first thought in my head is how I'm not treated as equal as a man. And so I try intentionally not to have that so much in the forefront of my mind, even though at times I see it. I mean, we all witness it in different aspects. We all work in different areas and arenas. And so we've all seen where we just see the unfair treatment. But at the same time, I just know that if I'm being the best person I'm called to be, if I'm doing the job that I'm called to do, and I love how Lynn said about championing each other. I champion both men and women. I do, yes. Do I do probably help pull women in a little bit more? I do, and that's because it's what I'm called to do. I often use the words complement and compete together, and it's we could use that both men and women, and also women and women, and so I don't want to be in a place where I'm always feeling as if I have to compete with a man or prove myself in a way to be better or do better or anything like that, so that I am treated equally. I don't want to do that. I want to be a person that can complement. I can be put in any space and complement whoever's there, woman leader or male leader. And so that for me is important. I think as individuals, if we all keep that task and that focus in front of us of how can I be a better person? How can I contribute to society? How can, what's my part in the bigger picture? Then I think that we're making strides, whether we see them or not. They might be little bitty, teeny tiny strides, but eventually they're going to create something. They are going to create a bigger change, and part of that is that advocating. I love how Lynn said that, is that advocating. And earlier, Lynn, you said something about opening your mouth, about saying things and speaking things, and I think that's important too. I think there's a right time for that. I think there's the right place for it, and I think we can use wisdom in that. And so when we do that, when we find that right space and time to open our mouths, to advocate for change vocally and not just behind the scenes, then I think those are all those small steps that we as women can take to help make a better world. And Fola, you really put a lot of things into perspective, because even here in America, we can complain about different things, but you put it in perspective when you told us about Saudi Arabia and what these women are just now getting to do. What a perspective change and a shift, because we're in America. And there's a whole lot of autonomy, and I have a right to this and I have a right to that. And we realize there are other women that don't have half as much of the freedoms and the rights that we have here. So I appreciate that perspective that you brought into this.
That's good.
I also want to add, if you allow me. So in another way, we can also say that women are not treated equally in the other way. So I will give an example. So like what you said, Brenda was saying that she championing women and men, but she champions women more because she's called to do that. So I have a very deep voice. And when I talk on the phone, customer service is generally assume that I'm a man. And because of that, I don't get nice treatment sometimes. But when I practice and I say, hello, I get what I want to get. So sometimes I have to fight and say, I'm a woman. I'm sorry, I just have a deep voice, because, my voice comes strong and they're like, what? I'm sorry you'll be frustrated right now, but I'm not able to do anything. And then, like you said, the perspective. So when technicians need to come to our home, sometimes I get this vibe that the way they treat me is because I'm a woman. If my husband had been here, they won't talk to him that way. So most times I would tell my husband, I don't like to be here. I want you to be here and all that kind of stuff. But he's had same experience sometimes. So then how do we look at it? It's just that person having a problem. But because I'm a woman, I'm thinking he's treating me that way because I'm a woman. Mm-hmm. But my husband do have the exact same experience sometimes, that he will tell the company, if it's this person that you're sending, I don't want them here. So sometimes it's hard to actually determine why you are treated the way you are treated, because the other person is just who they are.
That's a fair statement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other example I was going to give is, when it's mechanic work or anything at our home, I would rather go because I will get a better deal than my husband because I'm a woman. My husband can take our car to the mechanic and the mechanic will say, oh, I'm so busy. It might take 3 days. Let me take the car. I'll bring it back at the end of the day. So there's some things like you would just say, okay, Fola, you just deal with it.
Hey, I agree with that statement. My wife does the same thing. She's like, baby, okay, go ahead. Make sure it's cheaper than what I was going to get.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that. So before we end the stream, I already have the next question on the stream on the podcast as far as what advice you would give to another woman that is listening right now. But before we answer that question, I really, truly want to thank everyone that has been spending time with us, that has been putting questions in the comments and statements in the comments. We really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to share this with anyone and everyone. As I mentioned before, this is just a platform for us to just reach different individuals, different people, no matter the race, the color, the size, male, female, just to reach out and just give a platform, which none of the women that are here today on this panel have ever met each other. So that's the purpose of this, just to get different point of views, different opinions, and different voices to where it doesn't sound like everyone's agreeing on the same thing and everybody has a different point of view of the way they look at things in life. So I want to thank you all. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more. Before we end, I'm going to go ahead and allow these women to say one final thing that could impact or change someone's life. and I will give you a sneak peek into what next week video will be about. So whoever wants to start with this question, what advice do you want to give to another woman listening right now?
I'll start. Probably what I would say is you are valuable. You matter. You count. You're worth something. You have purpose. And you're loved, even if you don't feel it. You're known, even if you don't think it. And that's probably my short response to that.
I would have to say, everybody in this world, male, female, or, transgender, everybody's got mental limitations that they place on themselves. And, everyone, doesn't always wake up in a great mood or doesn't always feel confident when they wake up in the morning, but just really kind of running through your head the positive things that you do and the positive things that you do contribute and what you're good at, when you're feeling like you're not good at, you can't juggle everything. You can't be everywhere. Just like Fola said earlier, you can't be everything every day, to everyone. And so, and the next thing I think is don't say I can't. Just because you're a woman, don't say I can't. Try. And I tell my employees, Googlealo. That's what Google's for. That's what YouTube is for. If you don't know how to do it, look it up. That's what we have all these resources for. You may not learn how to, change your oil in your car. It doesn't matter, but at least have some knowledge to where you feel confident when you go someplace and you talk to somebody about something you're not 100% sure of, just so that you don't let someone else set your path. And so that's my advice.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that you are very important. Like I said earlier, women are the strength of the society. I mean, the president of the United States of whatever country would have been in this world if it had been for a woman carrying him or raising him. So you're very special. God didn't make mistake making you who you are, your sex as being a woman. We are very, very important. I'm going to read this to you. It says, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. Margaret Thatcher said that. That's who we are. We get things done. And like Lynn said, don't limit yourself. Anything that are happening to you is common. Other people have experiencing it. The only difference is how they respond. Are you going to respond or you're going to react? Are you going to let that limit you or you're going to change your situation? You have the power to determine your future.
That's good.
That's good.
That is good. All right. So there's nothing. What would you want people to do? Okay. So, ladies, what a wonderful job. I cannot thank you all enough for being a part of this podcast, for taking time out of your Sunday evening where you could have been watching soap operas or doing something totally different than spending time with me. And I'm so grateful and thankful that you all decided to just take a moment of your time to spend time with me on sending this out to everyone and being a part of this game-changing experience. So I thank you, ladies. I really do. If you want to be a part of the next podcast, the topic will be discussing what is love. What is love? So the ideal is to have a both male and female panel. hopefully up to at least 6 guests, 3 men, 3 women, and discuss the topic of love. And moving on from there, we'll just see what direction God puts in my heart to go with the next video. If you're watching this podcast right now, also the mission of this podcast is to also reach youth. So some point down the line, I would like to have teenagers, youth on here to discuss things that they go through, whether it's at school, whether it's at work, just everyday life. A lot of guys, and both male and female, play video games and get harassed on the internet, things of that sort. I want to be able to just talk with them about all those things as well. So if you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. Any suggestions for a new podcast or a topic that you would like for us to discuss, leave in the comments below. If you want to be a part of the podcast, leave a comment down below. I will reach back to you and reach out. Do y'all have anything else you would like to add or say?
No, thank you for this opportunity to participate. It was fun.
Hey,
and it was a pleasure meeting you ladies.
Same here.
Thank you. And if y'all want to be a part of the next podcast, y'all have my information to reach out. Please feel free. I would love to have you. I would love to have you again. So if there's nothing else, thank you all for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.